Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm here to talk about my goals. Every month I sit down and share with you how last month's goal action items went and all the action items I have set for the upcoming month in my Cultivate What Matters power sheets. This tool has changed my life in terms of goals, and the new ones have finally launched. If you missed my 2022 review video of the new power sheets, go ahead and check that out and order your 2022 power sheets. It's gonna be here before we know it, especially if you are brand new to power sheets. Taking the time to go through the prep work can be so valuable. I learn something every year from going through the Cultivate What Matters power sheets prep work. So I raved all about it in that video. This video is about September and October. Let me start by saying September did not go as planned. I did not really accomplish all that much. You'll see on my goals. Yeah, there's some check marks and there's some shaded in, and normally I'm a pretty positive person in terms of like, well, look at all the progress that I did make. But honestly, I'm pretty disappointed in what I did in September. It wasn't my normal MO. There was a whole week that I had the apartment to myself while Sam was in Texas, and I did more like nothing than I did goal progress. And I think having dance twice a week all the way until 9 o'clock at night, which is late for me on a weeknight, has been exhausting. And it felt one thing after the other that I just didn't do a lot in September. And I am really trying to balance being proud of the progress that I did make and keeping myself hyped up for October. And truthfully, I thought I wasn't going to do a quarterly refresh between September and October. I meant to talk about this more in the quarterly goals video. If you did not check that video out, it went up earlier this week. But I decided to go ahead and do a quarterly refresh. I felt like I needed kind of a revamp. I needed to reset and refocus. So let's quickly, because I always do, go through the September action items, and I'll kind of tell you a little bit more about it, and then let's flip to October and have a fresh start. So in terms of the monthly action items, the first one was to work on the No BS weight loss course, and I did make some progress on that. I did watch some modules, but again, didn't make as much progress as I wanted to. I actually thought I was going to finish it, and I didn't. The next one was to go rollerblading. I did not do that once. I just did not make time for it, and I kept making up excuses, so I don't even really have a good reason. The next three are all related to my one little word project, and I haven't really talked about this in a video because I've kind of been saving it for this one. I am gonna let go of one little word for the rest of the year. If you don't know what it is a memory keeping project where you pick a word of the year and you really focus on getting to know that word and working on kind of crafty projects to bring that word to fruition in your life. And there are pieces of the project that I really love, and I do find that I've gotten value out of it this year. But at the same time, I also feel like it's more of a chore than an enjoyment. And it was falling into the category of things that make me happy. And it wasn't really making me happy. Even the outcome of it, while it was beneficial, some months, it wasn't enough to outweigh the feeling that I would rather be spending those hours doing something else, working on another goal, hanging out with Sam, just something that wasn't one little word. And so as I was kind of assessing like halfway through September when I knew I was already behind, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna cross them off, and then I'm not even gonna worry about it for the rest of the year. And likely that means I won't be doing one little word in 2022 either. And that's okay. We all don't have to do all of the projects. The next one was to get photos printed. I did do some of that when we had a long flight. I did take the flight to like go through photos and then came home and sent all those to get printed, but I didn't get to the end. The next four things were all wedding related, and honestly, we did make significant progress here, and the shading doesn't do it justice. I actually feel really good about the progress that we made on all of these, and Sam was very helpful on a lot of these as well. So I feel like the shading doesn't really justify. That is one goal that I'm proud of the progress we made in September. Oh, the weekly goals. I don't even know. You guys, I don't even have an answer. Stretching was pretty good. I did that 3 out of 4 weeks. Like, I feel like I'm pretty on top of my stretching. Memory keeping, nothing. Total goose egg. And book notes. Did it the first week, haven't touched it since. I talked in the quarterly goals video about like how I felt about both of those goals from an overall standpoint, the memory keeping and the book notes. So I'm not gonna like rehash all of that out, but that's how September went. Daily action items. So the first 3 are all related to the No BS program, and that is to make a 24-hour food plan. And so it was to follow and assess the plan. You can see the first half of the month, not so good. Really didn't do it hardly at all. And then in the second half of the month, you can see I did a pretty good job on the weekdays. Like I'm not too bad. The weekends are hard for me. So that's probably something I need to focus on a little bit more in Q4. But at the same time, if it's working, like if I'm seeing results, focusing on the weekdays, maybe that's okay. So those daily goals, bad at the beginning, good at the end. The other two no BS course related goals were to eat breakfast when I'm hungry and then eat lunch when I'm hungry. I did a good job of this one. This one I actually feel like I'm very proud of, and I feel like I learned a lot of my own hunger signals besides a growling stomach. I typically am hungry first thing in the morning when I wake up, and my stomach growls pretty quickly. And that one I was pretty aware of. But for lunch, there were some other signals I was not paying attention to that were telling me I was hungry without having to wait for the stomach growl. And learning that made the rest of the day so much better in terms of when I ate and being able to focus on work and all of the things I have going on. So those two action items, I feel like gold stars. Those are the winners for September. And then the last two were related to routines, and that was my lunch routine and my PM routine. And here's where I think this went wrong. And I did talk about this a little bit in the quarterly goals video. The purpose of the routine goals was to keep them in place during the transition of going back to the office. And we didn't go back to the office. And so I think that in my head, I was like, well, it's okay if I'm not perfect at these goals because the purpose of them is no longer a thing. That doesn't mean doing the routines wouldn't have had value, Laken. And so that is when being specific can sometimes turn out not great. But honestly, this is one of those scenarios that is very rare. Like the scenario of me setting the goal to go back to the office and then we didn't go back, like that is something that is completely unique to this time that we're in. And I just kind of learned to go with it. So I am ready, more than ready, to turn the page to October and focus on some new things. Now, am I carrying over some things? Yeah, absolutely, because there are some things that I wanted to finish this year, or things that were working and I just need to keep working on them. And if you watch the quarterly favorites video, I mean, 3 of the 5 Q3 quarterly goals, I just literally carried over into Q4. But let's go ahead and talk about October specific. So the encouraging words for October stemmed from a question that I got from a patron, where I had mentioned on a Patreon call that I was quitting one little word. And she asked, even though that you're quitting one little word, how do you feel like that word has worked out for you? Do you feel like it has still come to fruition in your life? Do you feel like it still had an impact? And 100% it has. I chose the word brave to focus on for one little word. And there are so many instances this year that I really do feel like I channeled that to a completely different level than I ever have in prior years. And so I wanted to choose another set of encouraging words, just like last month, that had the word brave in them. That's just what I wanted to do. So I used my app. I have this little app on my phone called Motivation. That's literally just a bunch of motivational quotes. I do have the paid version, so when I talk about it, I'm not sure what I mention is part of that paid version. But one of the things you can do is you can type in a word or a phrase and it spits out all the quotes that they have in their database related to that word or that phrase. So I typed in the word brave, and this is the one that came up. It's another Brene Brown quote. I shouldn't be surprised. She's the queen of talking about bravery. And the quote is, "Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do." And what I love about this quote is that it's focusing on like loving myself. You know, last month, the quote about bravery was about being brave helps make others brave. And while some days that really does motivate me, thinking about how what I do can motivate at least one person to do something brave, it means the world. But there are days that doesn't inspire me or encourage me, and I am not focused on what being brave does for me and my self-love and my self-care. And so that's what I love about this quote. And then for my October priority, I just wrote the word smile. I have a lot going on in October, and one of those things is the dance show, and I'm very much looking forward to it for a lot of reasons. Honestly, don't even have that many people coming. I know that some of you also have bought virtual tickets, and that means the world to, I hope you know that that means the world to me, that you're going to be watching virtually and supporting virtually. Okay, I'm not gonna get emotional. The only people coming are my parents and Sam, and they're only coming to one show, so the other show doesn't even have anybody that I know. And that's because I'm not doing it for them. Like, I'm doing this show for me, and maybe I am gonna get emotional. And so when things are tough in October because I'm busy and tired and stressed, I just wanted to remind myself to smile, and that you're doing something that makes you happy, and you're just doing it because it makes you happy. Okay, let's get into the action items. So starting with the monthly action items, the first one is related to my wedding goal, and that is to just get the wedding to-do list up to date. We've been focusing so much these last couple months on the progress and the actions, and I am here for it, but I know we haven't updated that to-do list, and I know I've thought of some other things that need to be on that to-do list. So I just want to make sure that I take some time in October to, like, this is like probably a 20-minute activity, if that, to sit with the wedding to-do list, cross off the things that we've done, add anything that I've thought of, and just feel like we're in a good place. Like I said, October is busy. I do have wedding further down in terms of actions, but I'm not getting specific on what I actually want to accomplish in October. The next action step is related to my quarterly goal, December Daily, and that is to do the December Daily Stories class. And originally, I debated with this, whether I wanted it to be a monthly goal or a weekly goal, because there's 4 sessions. So I thought, let's make it a weekly goal and I'll do it once a week. Like I said, October's a little bit all over the place. But one of the things we're doing is we're taking a train to and from Baltimore for Sam's cousin's wedding. So I thought, let me just do it on the train. And so I made it a monthly goal so that I can just schedule it for that one train ride and then likely or hopefully get through the whole course then. All right, the next monthly action items are all related to Plan with Laken. Some of them are going to be very specifically related to the quarterly goals I talked about, and some of them are just kind of Plan with Laken things that need to happen in October. So the first one is finalizing the Vlogmas plan. I've already started it. Like it is in decent shape, but there are definitely some things that I need to finalize. I was asking your feedback on how to incorporate December Daily. I need to have some like conversations about it with my editor in terms of like who's editing what and what turnaround times are gonna look like, in figuring out things based on travel. You know, I finally have finalized, I nailed down the travel with my mom on like when we're gonna be home for the holidays, and so how videos line up with that. And so now that like the bones of December are in place, I can finalize the overall plan and get that in a good spot. The next action item is to figure out the overarching plan for the group coaching. If you watched the quarterly goals video, I talked more in depth about this, and I didn't have any steps yet planned out. So the first step in October is just to like get everything, all the ideas I have for it out of my head and down on paper. The next Plan with Laken action item is to get Kartra set up. So if you're not familiar with Kartra, it is a online platform that a lot of course creators use to house their courses. It also functions as an email system. So my goal, and this might be very ambitious for me to get done in October, because I think I'm gonna like at least sign up, but I don't know that I'm gonna get through all of it in October, but I at least would like to make some progress. But get the Accelerate Your Goals pre-recorded versions up there. And also the email sequences that I've actually been writing some email sequences behind the scenes and getting those set up in Kartra, moving that over from MailChimp into Kartra. Just a lot of things. There's a lot of pieces to it. So you know what, maybe this action stuff is not even setting any of it up. It's writing down all the things that I need to do for it. I think that's probably it, because October is busy and I don't have time for this. So maybe that is what that means. It means get all the things, all the pieces that you need to set up out of your head and on a to-do list, and then we'll execute in November and or December. The next one is to get Evernote set up. This is what I'm trying for my book notes. So I mentioned this in the quarterly video that I'm gonna try something new to organize my book notes and take them from like 30 Word documents into a more uniform system. I don't know if Evernote's gonna be the answer, but I'm gonna give it a go. There is one Plan with Laken action item that is related to the goal that I can't talk about. I mentioned that in my quarterly goals video. I know it's mean. You will know in 2 months, I promise. So there's one action item that is very specific that I need to write down. The next 3 items are all related to the house. And the irony is, I think my parents coming to visit is one of the motivators or inspiration to get these things done. Because when they come visit for the show, I really would like our apartment for this piece of it to be done. So making the decor list, then going and buying the decor, and then getting the photos printed. I should be able to get through all of this. We'll see how it goes. Moving on to weekly action items. So the first one is to do something wedding related, even if this is just checking in with my wedding email. Again, because of October being so busy, I'm not putting any pressure to get any specific wedding things done in October, but at least if I get any emails about stuff that's in the works, getting what I can done updated. I'm basically just gonna put an hour in my schedule once a week to be for wedding stuff, and like whatever I can get done in that hour is what is gonna give me that check mark. The next 2 weekly action items are both memory keeping related. I feel like we do this every month. Doing the current week and then doing one past week. And then the last one is to work on the No BS course. So similar to the wedding, instead of putting it up in like specific things up in the monthly section, I'm just going to schedule 1 hour a week in my calendar and do it 1 hour a week. And whatever progress I make is the progress that I make in October. Moving on to daily action items. So the first one is to go through photos. And I talked about this a lot on Instagram as part of my last 100 days challenge. Towards the end of September, when we had exactly 100 days left in the year, I encouraged you to pick just one small thing that you could do for the rest of the year that would just make you feel good. It doesn't have to be a big goal. It doesn't even have to be like a goal. It could just be something that brings you joy that you want to do for 100 days straight. And for me, what I chose was going through the photos on my phone. And when I did the math of if I do 100 photos for 100 days, how many photos I would actually get through, I still wouldn't be done, by the way, but I would make a lot of progress and I would feel like on top of it going into the new year. So you'll see that daily goal every month for Q4. And then the last 3 daily action items are all related to the No BS course that I'm carrying over from prior months, and that is to make the plan, follow the plan, and assess the plan for the daily food plan. I talked a lot about that in a prior video, but those are the 3 action items that I'm carrying over. I didn't want to bombard myself with other daily things. Normally, I have been filling up every line on the daily section and feeling okay about it because it wasn't new stuff. Like none of this stuff is new on the daily section. But again, because October is so busy, I feel like that's just what I had to keep in mind. Like I am out of town 2 weekends in October, and then 2 weekends are dance related things. So like I just had to be very simplistic this month. So I'm feeling good about it. Excited about the new month, as I always am. But before we jump into the new month, I want you to reflect on something that you're proud of from September. So I want you to let us know in the comments what is one thing that you accomplished in the month of September that you are super proud of, so we can celebrate together. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Let's flip back to September. Do you remember all the things I have set for the upcoming month? Upcoming month? Let's try that again. I'm getting loopy. It's almost time for a break. I meant to talk about this in the quarterly, blah, 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 blah.